This is the one without the Doctor.
Even though he's in the credits.
And the one without the companions.
Not in the credits.
But there are human astronauts.
And Varga plants.
And Daleks.
And 6, possibly 7, other alien races.
It's called Mission to the Unknown.
AKA Dalek Cutaway.
Here we go. We're embarking on a voyage all through time and all through space.
Encountering Daleks, Thalan-Ood, and the Cybertronic race.
Santarans look like taters and Silurians all have wonky scales.
And the Doctor has a TARDIS, we're reviewing all his tales. Who back when? Reviewing all of who there is. Who back when?
Subscribe and rate on iTunes, please.
Episode by episode, we're trudging down this temporal road. Come join us on this odyssey. What other choice could there be than Who back when?
Who back when?
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Who Back When, episode number C019. I am the Rawmeister.
Yes, you are.
And I am joining...
Ponkin.
Nice to be talking to you.
Nice to be talking to you too. And may I say, that was a beautiful intro to this episode.
Well, thank you.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are reviewing Mission to the Unknown, which... Okay, I'm really sorry. I'm already kind of unclear about something. Rawmeister, can you please clarify this? It has 2 different titles. Mission to the Unknown and also...
Dalek Cutaway.
Exactly.
Well, I think Mission to the Unknown is clearly a title, and Dalek Cutaway is more of a description for an episode that doesn't really have a title.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the actual production of it.
I think that sounds right, but there wasn't like an on-screen title for the episode.
Okay.
So I think it was... I don't know. I read something and now I can't remember what it was. So let's cut that out. But I did read something about it being a production anomaly.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
This was a bit of a last-minute episode, I think.
It had sort of 2 objectives. Number 1, it's a prologue to the 12-episode epic that is the Dalek Master Plan. That's coming up, I think, 2 episodes from now.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, it was kind of meant as sort of a pilot for what Terry Nation envisioned being this Dalek spin-off series. Terry Nation having created the Daleks, he wanted to take that to the States and just do this massive Dalek show.
I figure that would have eventually gotten quite annoying.
Yeah, mega annoying.
Daleks every episode.
Actually, sorry, I shouldn't say a Dalek-only episode. The Daleks would clearly be the main foes, but this wouldn't be like a gritty Chris Nolan take on like, the Daleks trying to purify the universe.
If Chris Nolan is listening to this, we want a lot of money for that idea.
And you're welcome, Chris.
Yeah.
But no, the what are they called? The Space Security Service or whatever they're called. Yeah. The SSS. Dodgy name, by the way, Mr. Nation. Yeah. Whatever. The Triple S. They are meant to, or they were meant to be the good guys in this potential spin-off series, but it never happened.
Oh, okay.
It just never happened, and apparently, as we learned from Edward D'Souza's intro to the loose cannon version of this episode, their recon, this episode was actually never even aired abroad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said it's unique in that sense because apparently people considered it too violent.
It was, well, I don't know about hugely violent. I mean, there's 3 deaths overall.
Maybe they're just more in your face.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Varga plants would potentially be quite scary.
Yeah.
For a child, at least.
I think it's less Varga plants, more human-on-human violence.
I guess so. It was technically, in every case, human/Varga plant violence. But yeah, I take your point.
Are you also trying to avoid human-on-human action and human-on-plant action?
No, that's just you.
Just me. Okay, I apologize.
For that. I'm glad you didn't avoid it in the end. I also don't really feel like lasers give me a violent feeling the way a gun would or a knife.
Okay, that is also... that's a good point.
Yeah, I guess that's why that wouldn't really occurred to me. But yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting. I would have assumed that the reason it didn't air abroad was just because the Doctor wasn't in it, and it's...
Actually, that makes much more sense.
I suppose. I mean, it's...
Maybe Eddie D'Souza just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, maybe. I didn't see that intro, by the way.
Oh, really?
Have it. So again, we failed to watch the same versions, I guess.
Okay, but you did see both versions.
I did see both versions, yes, which was really helpful.
Yeah.
In this instance, I enjoyed I watched the animated version first, so I figured it'd be easier to follow the plot that way.
Yeah.
And then the recon for comparison.
I did the the exact same thing. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, check this out. If you've only seen the recon version, now, seriously, props to Loose Cannon who have reconned yet another episode here, and they've done so very well.
It was a really good job this time.
Yeah, a very, very good job. But in addition to that, what's his name, Rawmeister?
Ian Levine.
Ian Levine.
Yeah.
So Ian Levine has, but also a whole bunch of other people. In the end credits of the animated version, there are like 1 billion people.
Yeah, there was, I think the chief animator was called David Bush.
Good name, Dave.
Yes. Spelled the way you're thinking.
Sorry. Sorry, Dave. No one's perfect. So there is, in addition to the Loose Cannon recon, there is also an animated version of this episode, and it is spectacularly well done. It's sort of like a flash animation type thing, but the audio is amazing. I think largely the audio was redone, in fact.
Yeah, I felt like there was, or maybe certain things were intensified. There was, because I felt like there was a lot of background forest noise that sounded sharper and stuff. But I think some of the vocal stuff, which was a little unclear in the recon, was also unclear in the animated version. So I guess it couldn't all be.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I struggled with making out what they were saying, but not nearly as much as in the previous in Galaxy 4.
Ditto. I found Galaxy 4 very difficult to follow along with. Just the audio was so garbled at times, but here it's much, much crisper. And I don't think we'd get into trouble for doing this. If possible, I'm going to embed the animated version on the website as well.
Oh, yeah, cool.
So people can check that out if they want.
Yeah, well, I'd definitely recommend watching the animated version if you hadn't, because it's not done in a way that the animation really feels like the focus of it. There isn't like a whole lot of excess movement going on, and maybe that's to do with a budget thing, but I think that's sort of appropriate. Like it almost feels like a moving storybook kind of thing.
Yeah.
More, say, watching a cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Either way, check that out. But so apparently the recon versions that you and I watched differed in at least one way. I get both an intro and an outro with Edward D'Souza. Did you get that?
No, I didn't get either of those.
Okay, well, in that case, let's jump into this. Let me just cover super quickly in bullet point form what Edward D'Souza says in the intro, and then let's jump into B-Scout land.
Okay.
The whole thing is prefaced with Edward D'Souza. He's sitting in his living room, very much like Marco Polo did in East Croydon, or whatever it was we said in the Marco Polo episode. And he seems like such a charming man. He said a few things that's very easy to bullet point because he basically bullet points himself. He says this episode was unique for a number of reasons. Number 1, there's no Doctor in it. Number 2, there are no companions in it. Number 3, it was produced as a teaser for Dalek Master Plan. We've already covered that. It was filmed back to back with Galaxy 4, so this had the same production team as Galaxy 4.
I guess that makes sense with the beginning of this episode being in the ending of Galaxy 4.
Exactly. He mentions what I said before as well, it was never shown abroad because it was considered too violent, but he also says one more thing. This is the last time that Verity Lambert acted as producer of the show.
Oh, wow.
This marks the end of her reign as producer of Doctor Who. And Verity Lambert, having produced the show since the very, very beginning, what a fantastic job she'd done. And
yeah.
I'm going to say, while he's talking about this, there are we get to see all these behind-the-scenes pictures. I'm going to include some of those screenshots on the website as well. We get to see Verity Lambert just hanging out with the cast in full costume and everything. It's fantastic. They seem to be just giving her the most amazing send-off as well.
She sounds like she was a pretty cool person.
Yeah, absolutely. Much younger than I expected, actually.
Well, dude, she only died like 2 years ago or something.
Oh, really? I'd never heard of her before starting to do Who Back When.
I think as TV producers go, she is pretty famous.
Oh, really?
I've seen her name on a lot of ending credits of various TV shows.
Holy crap, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, behold my ignorance.
I think this is probably the main thing she's famous for, though.
Well, I can imagine. It's quite a legendary thing to do, bring Doctor Who into the world. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to be drinking anything whilst listening to this podcast, raise a glass in honor of Verity Lambert.
I only have a drop left. Glass anyway.
Chin chin.
I conserve this.
Shall we jump into B-Scout?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
B-Scout! We open where previously Galaxy 4 closed on the planet Kemble, where human astronaut Garvey regains consciousness and decides to go kill his mates.
His two compadres, Lowry and Corey, meanwhile, are trying to repair their ship, ineffectively, when suddenly Garvey turns up, tries to laser them, equally ineffectively, and is himself lasered by Corey.
Turns out Garvey was infected by some kind of plant, only indigenous to the Dalek homeworld of Skaro.
Dum dum dum! Hijinks ensue.
Peace out.
Well, we say hijinks, but it's actually a very serious episode.
It's quite a foreboding episode,
Yeah.
Which is presumably the intention, given it prequels a massive 12-episode
Yeah, this
story.
mastodont epic serial.
But this is must be a very early example of this kind of storytelling, which we're, very much used to in modern TV, ever since things like Twin Peaks and the X-Files started off, the kind of the arc style of storytelling where you plant something early on and it comes to fruition later with unrelated things happening in between. It's from the first episode of the series, they start this arc at the end of that episode, then we have a sort of standalone-ish episode devoted to it, and then the big event comes. Yeah. That's the sort of...
It's very modern. It's like again, Chris Nolan reference. It's like the Chris Nolan thing of releasing a teaser trailer for Interstellar literally 1 year before it's due to come out.
Yeah, I don't associate this kind of storytelling with
1960s.
From anything pre-1990s, really.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. According to Edward Souza, though, in the, I don't know if I'm mispronouncing that, by the way, in the outro, in his little sort of closing statement, he says that it actually just ended up confusing a lot of people because everyone expected the next serial in line to be connected to this in some way, but it's not. Instead, we get the Mythmakers, which is set during the Trojan Wars, and it's just completely different.
Well, it must have been confused by the friggin' Doctor not appearing in the episode.
Yeah, exactly. This is the only episode of all of Doctor Who in which there is no Doctor or companions.
Well, this never happens again. That's crazy.
Never. Well, so far anyway.
I figured if it happens this early on, it would maybe happen again at some point.
Apparently not.
Be like a once a series thing, maybe. But, well.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we jump into the episode?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Start off, man.
So, we begin episode 1 of this serial. Was it exactly the same scene as we saw at the end of Galaxy 4, or was it a rehash of it? As far as I could tell, it was the same thing, but I didn't go back and compare.
I imagine that, as with almost every other sort of review of what happened previously on Doctor Who, it's actually a reenactment as opposed to a replay.
Okay, but even though they were filmed as part of the same unit of filming.
Well,
it would seem logical just to reuse the same footage.
No, that's true. That's true. But when you consider other episodes or other serials like the Sensorites or whatever, where there are fucking in-your-face obvious discrepancies between the previously on Doctor Who and the actual end of the previous episode, clearly they did, at least on occasion, do multiple takes. Anyway, so yeah, Jeff Garvey is his name anyway, this astronaut. He wakes up in the jungle, as we saw before at the end of Galaxy 4. He wakes up, he grabs a laser thingamajiggy, a laser gun, and just goes, "Oh, I remember now. I must kill." And he says this very calmly, and then he basically just, exits stage right.
Yeah, and so we see the bottom portion of a rocket. Yep. And our other two main characters apparently fixing it, although I don't know, they wouldn't really fix. I mean, I'm going to play the animated version here, but Lowry appeared to be bolting back on their UN sign onto the rocket. Stressed out about doing so. I'm not sure how essential that really was. And by the way, we're excited to know that the UN is still around in 1,000 years' time.
Yeah, now having incorporated or annexed space as part of their, domain. I think there are a lot of similarities between the animated version of this scene and the Recon version, except in the Recon, at least, I don't remember seeing any images of them putting up the sign or tearing bits off the spaceship, which they appear to be doing in the animated one.
Sense of what they were doing in the Recon, so it's probably artistic license.
Fair enough. I think what is fair to say, though, is that this is a comic book style spaceship, and they are trying to repair it with a circa 1960s 1965 car mechanic wrench and a screwdriver.
Yeah, it also appeared that the way into the spaceship was through
the bottom.
Which presumably where the
like the thrusters are going to be there, dude.
Yeah, I didn't see the way in happening there, but maybe I missed something.
I don't
want to criticize the art though too much because
I quite liked it.
It was really nicely done.
It was, yeah. On the outside of the spaceship, we see a name as well. It is, as you said, the UN. It is the UN Deep Space Force Group 1.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
They referred to it as the XM1 at some point.
I think that's the freighter that they try to call later on.
Oh, okay.
Freighter XM1. Freighter XM1.
This is a tangent, but the reason that's stuck in my head was you're familiar with Tintin, right?
Obviously.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Belvision cartoons of it? Not the one from the 90s, ones from like the 70s or something.
No, I don't think I've seen those.
I had these on video as a kid, and they were French, possibly Belgian, presumably Belgian, cartoon versions of Tintin that took a lot of license with the original stories. In their Destination Moon episode, they changed the name of the rocket to the XM2. So that stuck in my head a little bit. But I think that's on YouTube if you want to investigate.
Yeah, check it out.
It's really bad, but kind of entertaining.
I am a little bit curious.
That was our Tintin tangent.
Yeah. Anyway, did we say this? So the two guys who are out here outside trying to repair the UN DSFG-1, they are Lowry and Corey. And Corey is the guy who's in charge. He's like hombre number 1.
Well, sort of, but Lowry is the captain in charge of their mission, but Corey is usurping it, apparently.
Exactly. So Lowry is the captain. How did Corey get to order Captain Lowry to take them down to Planet Kemble?
Yeah, I think Lowry said something under have to do what you say, something.
Yeah. Apparently some paperwork was produced at some point that enabled Corey to do this. Regardless, he is the one who decided they should go down to Kemble.
Yeah.
And he hasn't told them why.
No. And, well, maybe I should save the discussion of that for later in the series. Well, not later in the series, later in the episode.
Okay.
There's a specific line which really demonstrates how ridiculous this setup is. But
okay. I look forward to it. Don't forget that.
Can I just say I really enjoyed the contrast between the animated versions of Lowry and Corey and their their real life counterparts.
Yes. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, the animated versions took quite a bit of license with how sort of manly and attractive these guys were.
It definitely made Corey a lot more attractive.
Yeah.
Slimmed him down quite significantly as well.
Yeah, definitely. Lowry, I know this is horrible.
Just say it. Say it.
Seriously, dude, Donald Trump would envy that haircut. That is the worst fucking haircut I've ever seen. Look, if you're going
real life Lowry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going bald, just keep it neat. That's all I'm saying. Don't brush the sides forward to make up for the lack of the hair on the top of your head. This isn't a fashion podcast or anything, but I was like, what the fuck is that hair?
No, that's a very, very fair statement. I think face-wise, though, they got it completely right.
Really?
Yeah, well, for Lowry, I mean. I think they nailed his face. Hey.
There wasn't... For Lowry, yes. Corey, pretty much a different...
And they did not... They definitely changed Garvey quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of Garvey is now appearing in, the bushes nearby. He sees Corey and Lowry. Lowry, at this point, asks Corey, well, I don't even know why you asked us to get down to this planet. Corey goes, mind your own fucking business, and walks off.
Mind your own business, Captain.
Yeah. Who do you think you are, senior officer?
Yeah.
He steps out of frame, at which point Garvey turns up, basically tries to league Garvey Oswald's Lowry.
Nice.
Whips out his laser blaster, tries to laser Lowry, fails to laser Lowry, is lasered himself by Corey. This is probably very confusing to people who have not seen the episode, all these names being dropped all over the place, but just trust us. So he is now dead. Lowry goes fucking ape nuts. What does Lowry do?
How could you do this? You kill her. And Corey's like, it was him or you, which I think is quite true, actually. It was him or both of you, presumably, or him or all three of you.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. And Corey, okay, we kind of suppose this, we can probably assume this at this point, we don't know it yet, but he is in possession of a pretty in-depth knowledge about what's going on here.
Then Lowry, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But so yeah, Lowry goes a little bit ape nuts, tries to, I guess, jump Corey. Corey, however, administers a pretty severe facial spanking and calms him down. And then we find out what happened to Garvey. Corey finds a thorn in his neck, I think.
Yeah.
And it's the thorn from a Varga plant.
At this point, I have the boy with a thorn in his side going through my head. Yeah, so a Varga plant, turns out it is should we say where it's from? Or
yeah, go for it.
Later.
You might as well.
So the Varga plant is a sort of half plant, half vegetable, half life form. What the fuck is the word?
I think he says half vegetable, half animal.
Oh, half vegetable, half animal life form that is indigenous to Skaro.
Crazy.
Where do we know that from?
Ooh.
And yeah, it basically, if you get pricked by it, you become one. You become a homicidal killing machine, but a really slowly homicidal killing machine that can't really do very much because you're totally turning into a plant to really...
Exactly.
Yeah. Not the most effective killing machine, but it actually does a pretty good job in this episode. So
yeah.
Corey and Lowry go into the spaceship and we get a big chunk of expedition from Corey.
Yeah. He shows him his shitty laminated ID badge that says...
License to kill.
License to kill. Space Security Service. License to kill. Which is awesome. I want that badge.
It looked like it'd be quite easy to forge.
Yes.
See any hologram on it or anything?
But he essentially just... so he explains he is with the Triple S, the Space Security Service. Very, very Terry Nation-esque thing to say, just adding the... Thank you, JD, for pointing this out in previous episodes, that Terry Nation had this tendency to just add space in front of stuff to make it more sci-fi friendly.
That is true. We went through a whole phase of that in university where we would just say things like, can you pass me the space juice, please? I'm just going to put on my space shoes and go for a space walk. It just made it sound more fun. So good writing.
Yeah, very good. But he essentially deputizes Lowry. And
well, actually, he says you're now enlisted. Sounded more to me like he was drafted.
Oh, drafted
or conscripted. I'm not 100% on the subtleties between these various things, but enlisted is voluntary, right?
Yes, you're right.
But he's like, you're enlisted. Now you do what I say.
You work for me now.
Not much of a change of pace since he was already doing what he said.
Very true. So we get a little bit of exposition, and it starts off with Corey asking the dumbest question any human being post-Dalek invasion of Earth can ask any other human being. He goes, have you ever heard of the Daleks?
Yeah.
It's like, no, why don't you tell me? But yeah, okay, so obviously Larry's heard of them. We find out it's been 1,000 years since they tried to invade the Earth. And no one's really heard of them. However, the good old guys from the Space Security Service, they've been keeping tabs. And in the past 500 years, 70 planets in the 9th galactic system. By the way, who the hell is numbering these galaxies? And 40 more in the constellation of Miros have been taken over by the Daleks. And very recently, some space freighter, probably this XM-1, spotted a Dalek spaceship somewhere near the planet Kemble. So, yeah, hence he ordered the ship to go and investigate.
Yeah, you get a little line here where I can't remember whether it was Corey or Lowry who described the planet they're on as the most hostile planet in the universe.
Yeah. Why? There's clearly an atmosphere.
I'm wondering, would it also be hostile to the Daleks? Would they really want to go there? I know they have, like, handy little shells, but it's not. Why is this such a... What is inherently a good meeting place about the most hostile planet other than no one else wants to go there? It still seems impractical.
Yeah, it seems very... Yeah, that is a very good point. It seems very impractical.
And I want to know how the conversation went between Corey and Lowry when Corey suggested, let's land on this planet. I mean... So, can we go to this, what's this planet called again?
Kemble.
Should we go to this planet, Kemble?
Which just happens to be the most inhospitable planet in the entire galaxy.
Yeah, and so presumably Lara was like, well, what the fuck for, dude? And Corey's like, oh, no reason, let's just... Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you who are not my superior or commanding officer.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Well, we cut to Garvey, who's outside.
Oh, yeah, he's sprouting all kinds of thorns.
Yeah, exactly. We thought he was dead, but now his hand is moving. We see he's sprouting thorns, and then cut back to the spaceship where Corey is trying to radio the freighter. No dice. And I think this is where he says, yeah, it's the most inhospitable. It's like the most dangerous planet in the world. And what he says is he had a hunch that it would be the ideal place for a Dalek base of operations. A hunch.
Yeah.
And if it's... So, wait, let's just get something straight here, Space Security Service. You see a Dalek spaceship in your own galaxy, or in your own solar system anyway, whatever, like in your own galaxy, for the first time in at least 500 years, or sorry, in 1,000 years. Over the past 500 years, you know that these Daleks have been just conquering planets. Now this thing is approaching the Earth. You send one guy along with along with two astronauts who... Two other guys who don't even know what the mission is, and that's, like, to gather intel. What kind of shitty outfit are you running here?
It's pretty ridiculous. Very underfunded. I think this may even be his own little pet project that the rest of the SSS were just like, okay, look, he's due to retire fairly soon. We'll just let him do this little mission. We'll find a couple of expendable chumps and... let them check this shitty planet out. But what did the other two even think the mission they were on was?
Yeah, they had no idea.
Yeah.
And also, why do they have to repair the spaceship? Has it's broken down somehow, clearly.
Yeah, they just had a shitty landing or something?
Yeah, maybe. We don't find out. But anyway, so Corey goes, the reason we're here, or the reason we're still here anyway, is this thorn. If there are Varga plants, there have to be Daleks. Cut to Daleks.
Yeah.
So now we get to see the Dalek Supreme. This set looks gorgeous, by the way. The Dalek... Sorry?
Yeah. I was going to say, it looked great in the animation. It was good in the recon too.
Yeah, there are some still images there that make it look very high budget. It's sort of a shame that we lost it. But very possibly they built
the big 12 episode thing, surely.
Yeah, I was going to say, very possibly that's why they invested money in this.
Yeah.
So what we get to see is, we're about to put a pin into this plot, ladies and gentlemen. We get to see the Dalek Supreme receiving word of the imminent arrival of emissaries from 7 different planets. Not 6, not 8, but 7.
7, okay.
Bingo, let's put a pin in that. Plus, they've also discovered that the UNDSFG-1 are somewhere in the forest, and they've dispatched a patrol to go kablam the freaking bejesus out of it. Fade 2, the UNDSFG-1, where Corey and Lowry are trying to repair a rescue beacon, essentially a black box, that contains, wait for it, a reel-to-reel.
I'm really glad to know those have survived 1,000 years into the future along with the UN.
Why is it that it seems really strange to me? This is almost a trope inherent to most of sci-fi, at least from that era, where
they had no idea how fast things would develop.
No, that's true, but they did have an immense amount of creative energy to just invest in what species looked like and what spaceships would look like and how you would travel and all this stuff. Yeah. But they didn't have any kind of creative energy invested in how would you record something.
Do you think it's maybe intended as sort of shorthand for the viewers, though? Like,
maybe.
They don't want to send out too many potentially confusing things for the viewers. So here and there, they'll just use some recognizable technology just to stop people from getting too lost.
That's very possible.
Maybe I'm just making excuses for them, but it seems like these writers would probably have thought of alternatives.
Yeah. No, okay.
But maybe I'm playing devil's advocate there.
No, I think that's a very reasonable argument. Boom. Anyway, so while they are trying to repair this black box thing, which is like, it's a mini rocket in which you pop this reel-to-reel recorder, and then that flies out of the atmosphere, goes into orbit, or just floats around in space, and whoever picks it up can then pop that into their 8-track, essentially. essentially.
Well, oh no, I think that was what I thought the first time I watched it. But I think the second time I watched it, I picked up that this thing will broadcast as well.
Oh, okay.
Because I was initially thinking that is fucking ridiculous. Who's going to find this thing? I could be wrong, but the second time I watched it, I got the impression it broadcasted in some way.
So because this is a reel-to-reel, it would broadcast us once, and then on the space frequency, you would hear the as it rewinds, and then it would broadcast it again.
Or maybe they recorded on both sides. Backwards on when it flips around. I don't know. Yeah.
Very possible.
Hopefully, it's not playing at like dubbing speed, so you get like the guy doing a Chipmunks impersonation. Anyone who was born like after 1990 won't have a fucking clue what we're talking about. Sorry if that's patronizing younger listeners.
All right, so while they are fixing this black box, Varga plants are approaching. They're sort of crawling towards them using their roots to crawl.
Yeah, the recon version of that, by the way, gave me a weird feeling because it was sort of the plants really slowly moving across the still image.
Yeah.
Maybe just because of the way those things looked. Really reminded me of the first and only time I took acid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just, ugh.
Oh, I'm sorry. That sounds like a very bad trip. I've never taken acid myself, but I don't think
Well, I think the thing was when I first took acid, I was watching something on the computer and the thing froze, but stuff was still moving on it. I don't know.
Oh, creepy. Well, the prospect of potentially being surrounded by Varga plants does not entice me to ever try acid, but...
Yeah. What did you think of the Varga plant costume?
Okay, it exists in two forms, like the two stages of turning into a Varga plant. I thought when you go full Varga, that is creepy as shit. But when you go half Varga, it's creepy in like a funny way. When the top half of a human being is a Varga plant, but the bottom half is just genes, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, so you're on this planet, there are Varga plants around, which you know, and it is the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. They've taken off their helmets. They're not even wearing gloves. We hear the noise of like wild animals around, but they're just walking around practically wearing sunglasses.
Gloves would definitely have been useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh. Anyway.
Plus, like...
you live and learn.
Saw off your hand as soon as you get,
Yeah, exactly. They would have gone, like, maybe... Well, they would have gone sort of Walking Dead on it, so the second you get a zombie bite, fucking chop that limb off.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Dude, let's move on.
Okay.
We get a cutscene of the Dalek patrol. They're going to flank the humans, they say. Well, they're gonna flank the humans. Then we cut back. Lowry now wants to kill the Varga plants, but Corey just tells him, no, keep working on the reel-to-reel, even though, hang on, he doesn't even know what it is. Corey, who is with the Triple S, is now in charge of this mission, does not even know how the reel-to-reel works. This is where we get the description of how it transmits or whatever, how you record on it. And then all of a sudden, next plot point, they see a freaking mega large spaceship arrive. Which in the animation is beautifully done, by the way.
Oh, pretty good, yeah.
We even see like this huge spaceship sort of land in a kind of... It reminds me a little bit of Jedi, the way it just lands somewhere in the forest.
Yeah. I actually didn't mind too much the way they did that in the recon with just the light flickering on the still image. That was kind of nice.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I wonder what that looked like in the original production.
Yeah, we'll never know. Well, we might know one day.
Yeah, very possibly. Here's hoping.
Yeah.
Anyway, Corey and Larry now hear something on fast approach, faster than the Varga plan, so they grab the black box and go hide in the bushes, and who arrives?
Dalek!
Kablamo. And they basically just melt the ship. Like, they check, they don't find humans, they melt the ship. So now, I've written Laurie and Cowrie. They set off.
Cowrie's a good name.
Yeah, Cowrie's a very good name. Especially for what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Because what happens? Dude.
He gets impaled on a Vargathorn.
Yeah.
Well, impaled. He
gets stunned.
Isn't impaled when you get just a small part of yourself impaled on something? I don't know. He gets thorned.
Yeah, thorned. Past participle to Thorn. Check it out.
Yeah. And spends much of the rest of the episode whimpering.
Yeah, but before he starts whimpering properly, in like true zombie apocalypse fashion, he says nothing.
Yeah, of course. Well, what are you going to say, really? I mean, you're going to get shot immediately or lasered immediately.
Yeah, but maybe he could say like, hey, hang on, Corey, you seem to be a little bit in the know. Why don't you cut off my arm?
He's thinking if I can suck my own blood out, I'll maybe be okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Do we see that in the recon as well?
I don't know.
We hear that in the recon, maybe.
Yeah. No, I think there may have been a subtitle describing that happening. I'm not completely sure now.
Okay.
But it was definitely in the animation.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so now, meanwhile, in Dalek HQ, we see some of these emissaries, and one of them, we were saying this before. Sorry?
A motley crew.
Yeah. They look fantastic, by the way.
They look fucking hideous, but yes, fantastic.
Yeah, I'm genuinely hoping that they all appear in the Dalek Master Plan, which I still haven't seen, by the way.
Presumably must.
Yeah, you would hope, you would assume, considering how much money they must have spent on the costumes alone.
Yeah, at the very least, one of them's bound to the thing.
Yeah, exactly. The what's it called again? Oh shit! I completely forgot. I've got actor trivia, but yeah, okay. So the what's it called? Hang on, let me find it.
Is it the Mouther?
It is the Mouther. Do you have it in front of you as well?
Yeah, Robert Cartland,
who was in the previous serial voicing the Rill.
Ah,
yeah.
He has a good voice. That was quite interesting. I wouldn't want to fuck with that guy.
Oh. I want him to narrate audiobook, like, bedtime stories.
Fucking hell. You want your kids to have some nightmares.
He should narrate trailers. That voice. He basically is the guy who narrates trailers.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on, because I forgot to mention this before. So I do have some information about the actors who play Lowry and Lee Garvey Oswald, respectively.
Go for it.
In chronological order, Garvey, the guy who appears in the very beginning and is laser to shit, he is played by Barry Jackson, who also appeared in previously reviewed serial The Romans as Ascaris. Ascaris was the tongueless assassin whom the Doctor threw out a window whilst Vicky laughed. He also obviously then he appeared in Mission to the Unknown, and then he will return as Drax in a serial called The Armageddon Factor, which I have not seen. Pretty fantastic. He was also a stunt performer and fighter ranger for the series Adamant Lives, according to TARDIS Wikia.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think I was going to make some stupid joke about there only being 15 actors in the UK at that time, so use a lot of them.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah.
Lowry, meanwhile, is played by Jeremy Young, who appeared in the very, very first Hartnell serial, An Unearthly Child. He played Cal, one of the cavemen.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he was later on married to Kate O'Mara, who played the Rani.
Well, we'll look forward to trying to spot her.
Yeah, awesome. Kablamatron.
Well, I have one other thing to say about this meeting of these 7 delegates.
Yeah.
So they kind of outlay their plan for attacking the solar system.
Yeah.
It's a great little mislead. Whereas we are going to attack Mars, Venus, Jupiter, the moon colonies.
Pause.
That's great. They're not going to attack Earth.
No. And then Daleks jump in and they go, hey, yeah, guys, wait.
First of all, Earth!
I also like that one of them, the Mouther, the thing from Fantastic Four, the guy with terrible acne, that he essentially the only thing he ever does he only does 2 things. Number 1 is he rejoices in the fact that they have now joined forces with the other aliens. And number 2, he aids the Daleks in typical Dalek exposition, because the first thing that we get to hear now is one of the Daleks telling him, like, he asks the Dalek, what about the humans? And then the Dalek tells him exactly what we just saw. And he goes, what about the spaceship? He goes, oh, let me tell you what the viewers back home have just seen. And then the Dalek does that as well. It's ridiculous.
He interrogates them, but at the same time, he takes everything they say at face value. Like, he's totally happy with every answer they give him.
Yeah, essentially, he just goes, oh, right, okay, story checks out. No problem.
I want to know, how the fuck did these how the fuck did all these guys get together in the first place? How did they end up making friends? Like, surely these guys would just be attacking each other left, right, and center and wipe each other out before they ever got to this point where they make an alliance. I mean,
I don't know. I reckon it's like,
like, you know,
these are like the bullies on one street.
Japan.
Sorry?
Or this is like America, Russia, China, and Japan all getting together to take over Argentina. It just seemed a little strange that the seven most fearsome aliens
in the galaxy.
They
somehow managed to strike an accord.
Rather than just fight each other to shit.
Yeah, but also it seems at first as though they haven't decided to cooperate until this meeting, but then it takes maybe 2 minutes for them to go, yeah, we're in. Let's do this.
We're all agreed. Why exactly?
I've got a quote here from the Maltha guy. Or Maltha, whatever. He says, the 7 great powers... Oh, sorry, actually, this might be a Dalek quote. The quote anyways, the 7 great powers of the outer galaxies have now united.
I didn't see him sign shit, but okay.
Let's return to the pin. The Dalek said, the 7 emissaries from the 7 different worlds have arrived. And now one of them goes, the 7 deadliest forces have united, which includes the Daleks. So there are 6 emissaries. Yeah. Maybe it's like Goldfinger. So there's one of them goes, Daleks, seriously, we don't care about Earth. We just want the moon colonies. We just want Saturn. Yeah. And the Dalek presses a button, the chair opens up, and the alien slides down, dies.
Yeah, very possibly. That would have been a good scene.
Yeah.
Delete scene, perhaps. I also have a quote from this scene, which was, I think, again, the Thing said this one, or I think it was the Thing. This is indeed an historic moment in the history of the universe. You could have phrased that better, right?
He's very sort of theatrical. I like that he says unhistoric.
In this unhistoric, yes.
Yeah.
I specifically wrote down unhistoric.
Yeah, beautiful.
In the historic and history, for 2 words apart.
Terry Nation, what are you doing?
You don't really need of the universe in that sentence. Yes, yeah.
Well, at least that sounds better than an historic moment in the history.
In history, yeah. It's not fair for his eloquence. Great voice, but
fantastic voice. But that's what he lives for. Like, he just wants to talk. He just wants to say stuff. He doesn't necessarily think it through. He just says stuff, and people are always amazed.
This is much like podcasting.
Very much. Anyway, so let's go on, dude. We cut to Lowry. He's now started growing Varga fur on his arm. Yeah, Corey returns, having gone on a little bit of a walkabout, and somehow Corey says that he has overheard the entire Dalek plan.
Yeah. What the fuck was he to this? He said he saw a city. He overheard from the distant city then? What?
Well, I think he said something about speakers. Like, the only conceivable way that he could actually have heard something is if the Dalek had a freaking tannoy.
So the tannoy in that big meeting room, or did they make an announcement afterwards?
To all of the Daleks. Listen, Daleks. we have reached an historic moment in the history of the universe. Yeah, anyway, so somehow he has overheard the entire plan. Then Corey goes, what the shit is up, dude? Realizes something's amiss. Lowry shows him what's what, and Corey straight up murders him. Just immediately laser blasts Lowry to shit.
Well, that's nothing new. He did exactly the same thing to Garvey.
That's true, but at least he didn't even give Corey a chance to turn into a Varga plant, or turn violent. No,
but it's a bit inconsistent, because Garvey's transformation was kind of different. Garvey was already psychotic and ready to kill before he turned into a Varga plant. Lowry still seems to be himself and is only just getting an inkling that he's about to...
But check this out, dude. Potential explanation. Garvey had the thing in his neck, so maybe that's going... I don't know, maybe that's more intense.
And then he got to his brain faster.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Lowry I think he was thorned in the hand or something, or in his wrist.
That's true. Nicely fan-wanked.
Thank you. Good word, fan-wanked. I like it.
You not heard that before?
No.
We'll use it again, I'm sure.
So then after he's lasered Lowry, Corey starts recording a message on the reel-to-reel. Doesn't have time to dispatch it, though. He has time to finish the recording, but then we get a little cutscene. The Daleks, they've tracked the humans. One of the Daleks has the fucking gall to ask his superior Dalek officer if the humans are to be taken alive, and the Dalek superior goes, no, they are to be exterminated. I kind of feel like that's their raison d'etre. This whole, like, when the Dalek goes, should we take them alive? We should have an extra scene that they've clearly cut out, where there's like suppressed Dalek giggle, and one of them goes, oh, 347, you crack me up.
I like how they emphasize it, though. I think there was a line slightly earlier where it's like, they will be exterminated! Exterminated! On their own power, right? They just love that particular word. I'm not sure if they love the word or the concept of
extermination. Yeah.
Must be both in equal measures, but they get off on it.
Very clearly. Anyway, so the Daleks, they find Corey, they kill the shit out of him. The recorder remains intact near his corpse on the ground. Spoiler alert, we're gonna get back to that recorder in the Dalek master plan, I guess, obviously. And then we cut back to the 6 aliens once again, pledging allegiance to the Daleks, as though we haven't heard this enough. Once again, they go, we are now all united. Like, we know, guys, we know. You shook hands and tentacles.
Yeah, they shook various limbs, I suppose.
Yeah, appendages.
Appendages, that's a better word.
And that's it. We get just the title card. Next episode, Temple of Secrets. And end credits, in which you pointed out in the intro.
First credit, Doctor Who, played by William Hartnell.
Who does not appear in this entire episode. Apparently, it turns out in his contract it said he had to be credited in every single episode.
Yeah, that sounds pretty standard.
Yeah.
They should have put him at the bottom, though.
In tiny lettering.
Taking a holiday, Hartnell. But yeah, the companions, on the other hand, clearly didn't have as sweet a contract because they weren't mentioned.
Yeah. Penultimate credit, produced by Verity Lambert. Chin Chin Verity. And then in my version of the recon, I got some closing words from Eddie D'Souza.
And what did he have to say?
He says, well, he does mention, we said this before, that people were wildly confused when in the next serial they appeared during the Trojan Wars and there are no Daleks or Varga plants or anything.
A long time ago, to be fair.
I mean, he has tons of little anecdotes, but the best one, I think, is, it comes immediately, I think, if memory serves, it comes immediately after him saying this was never broadcast abroad because it was considered too violent. Oh, by the way, so when I was at home, my character gets laser blasted by Daleks, dies viciously. I was watching this with my 3-year-old son, and I left the room, and my son got really scared and had to look for me to make sure that I wasn't dead. So, holy shit, he's 3. But he did say, so his son was 3 years old. He says, but it's okay, he grew up to be fine, he's now 38, which makes this interview, which dates it to 1990, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
And then he ends with a wonderfully charming smile saying that Loose Cannon have also made Mythmakers available for free on the worldwide Doctor Who fan network.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, there's even a URL in the Loose Cannon end credits. Recons.com. I haven't checked it out yet, but yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Loose Cannon, for making this. This was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good. Like I say, a vast improvement on the recon of the previous episode. It was just a lot easier to follow.
Yeah. Very possibly the source material is just in better shape as well.
Yeah.
So what do you say, reviews?
Let's review.
Reviews.
So, I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. Maybe, I mean, there's no denying it's a weird episode.
Yeah.
No Doctor. And, no resolution for a little while at least. I think I like the atmosphere of it more than anything else. It was just sort of tense and foreboding all the way through. Like, all the way through, you've got to sense something big is coming here. I mean, well, they tell you something big is coming because we get a friggin' master plan. Not the most detailed detailed master plan ever, but we get a master plan. They're going to invade the solar system, starting with Earth. So yeah, like I say, the main thing I liked about this episode was the atmosphere. I also thought the Varga plants were a pretty cool concept. They were nice, scary as slow-moving villains go. A little bit different. But I thought the main thing for me that worked about this episode, it did a good job of doing what it set out to do in the sense of it being a sort of appetizer for the main event to come. It whet my appetite for that. So I'm going to give this episode a fairly solid 3.5.
I like it. I think we're pretty much on the same page here. Completely agree with you. As teaser trailers for anything go, this freaking blew my mind hole wide open. I'm so incredibly keen to just watch the Dalek Monster Plan now. And it's such a shame that as far as I know anyway, exactly, as far as I know, there's not an animated version of all of it, but I think I may have seen bits and pieces of it animated. So that could be something worth looking up, actually. I will post something about it if I find out. And if anyone knows, then please let us know. Either way, yes, fantastic teaser. I did not at all mind that the Doctor was not in this. Not at all. This sets up like the scene, the context in which the Doctor is then going to walk in, and we never get that.
I think it's maybe a mark of a good episode that it works perfectly fine without needing the Doctor in.
Yeah,
you don't even really miss it.
I'm super duper chuffed that we don't have Vicky. I don't at all mind that we don't get the Steve Meister in this. The Doctor's absence is in no way harmful to the integrity of this story. We have fucking Daleks. The Daleks are amazeballs. I'm so pleased that we've got Daleks. And yes, as you said, Varga plants, kick ass. The 6/7 alien races, amazeballs. Their costumes, totally crazy. I just want to splooge all over the screen when I see this serial because it's so incredibly high budget and massively, awesomely mega. Absolutely love this thing. However, here are a few things that really piss me off. What the fuck, man? We don't know how they landed or they crashed on this planet. Like, wait, hang on. They didn't crash. They went there on a mission. Wait, no, hang on. They didn't go there on a mission. He went there on a mission. Corey did. Wait, hang on. He doesn't even know what the hell is going on. He just went there on a hunch. That the whole reason for them being there makes no sense whatsoever. And the fact that the Space Security Service has sent this one guy with no plan somewhere on a hunch after 500 years of the Daleks kicking ass and taking names around the galaxy, just to go off with two of his chums that don't even really respect him, makes no sense to me, so I have to mark it down a little bit for that.
Fair enough. That stuff amused me more than a bit.
Yeah, that's true. No, it amused me a lot as well. Solid. I'm giving this a 3.8, and I have to mark it down a little bit because it kind of feels like it's taken out of the Doctor Who context. It's like this extra little treat that we get, and really, maybe what we should do is later on view it as a 12th of the Dalek Master Plan, as opposed to, a standalone thing. But we'll see what happens when we finally watch that 11 episode epic, or we listen to it anyway. But yeah, holy shitballs, 3.8.
I should revise mine now because I didn't really have anything bad to say about it. Fuck it, this episode gets a 4 now off me.
Wait, what? You're giving it a 4 now? Wait, I'm giving it a 4. No, I'm not raising mine. I'm giving this a 3.8.
I'm going to go with 4 on further reflection now.
Okay, 4.0 from you, Mr. Peer Pressure. I'll drink to that.
Wasn't very good, actually.
Yeah, 3.8.
Listener minis.
We have a listener mini as well, and it's not just any listener, it is a fellow Who Back When co-host. We have a mini review from JD. Shall we maybe read that out?
Let's. So, this is the one with one episode. Maybe not so strange nowadays, but back then it was strange. No Doctor, no Stephen, no Vicky. Oh hey, it does have an upside. Called by any number of names, this Dalek Cutaway was ultimately the prequel to Dalek Master Plan, or as we call it now, it's a teaser trailer.
The good. No Vicky. The Daleks are threatening again after their comedy antics in the chase. They have a plan, and it's less stupid than putting a motor in the planet's core. Varga plants sound really nasty. Pity we cannot truly see them in their gory detail.
The bad. Terry Nation's attempt at a backdoor pilot for an American Dalek-only TV show serves only to confuse when trying to watch in order. It would have been better to have been shown after the Mythmakers.
Absolutely agree.
Overall, I refuse to rate this episode, as frankly, it may as well not be an episode of Doctor Who, and instead I will roll my score into the overall for Dalek's Master Plan. But, irrespective of anything, no Vicky, go Terry.
Nice one. Fantastic. JD, thank you so much for your review. Ladies and gentlemen of Podcast Land, you are, I'm sure, very familiar with JD. Have a listen to any number of audiobook reviews or New Who reviews that JD and I have done together. And for those of you on Twitter who are not following JD, what the shit are you doing with your lives? Go forth and follow him. He is at Marius Kane. That is Kane with a K. And I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We will return in the next Classic Who review with the Myth Makers. And as far as audiobook reviews and New Who reviews are concerned, I honestly cannot tell you which one is going to be next because I don't know in what order we're going to be dropping these episodes. But please tune back in at some point in the future. See what we're doing. Say hi. How can you do that? Do it on Twitter. I'm at Ponken. Rory's not on Twitter. JD is though. Marius Kane. Kane with a K. Rory, when are you getting on Twitter?
No, something.
Yeah. We're gonna start a petition. While you're on the internet, why not head over to facebook.com/whobackwhen, that's who back when in one word, and give us a like and a thumbs up and whatnot. Say hello.
So you're gonna do with your day.
Exactly. You can check us out on Google Plus if you're one of the 12 people who use Google Plus. Go to plus who back when. And please, this is the part where we just beg. Head on over to iTunes, leave a rating and review. Do as Tartan Jeff and Smithy Mark UK and JD, that's pre-Who Back When co-host JD, did, and leave a spiffing review and 5 stars just to mark the occasion. Thanks guys very much. Any closing words, Rawmeister?
Have a nice catchphrase, everyone.
I like it. Yes, be rad and excellent to each other. Thank you for listening. Shamalama ding dong. Chud chow.
Who back when?